Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's masterclass. My name is Sara Petish. I'm the head of academic affairs at LSDM, and today I will be the host for this masterclass. It is a pleasure to have with us Julia Giemza, an alumna of the MA, the Master in Marketing program at LSDM, who will share some insights from her applied research project titled The Power of Influence, How Polish Sustainable Fashion Brands Can Capitalize on Green Consumerism and Digital Marketing. So in these sessions, Julia will share some of the key findings from her research. She will discuss the role of authenticity and transparency in influencer marketing, and will reflect on her transition from academic research to professional practice in marketing. So please join me in welcoming Julia Giemza. Julia, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you for the nice introduction, and hello everyone now officially, and thank you for being here with me. So first I want to start with reflecting on my master journey, and looking back at the start of this master, I remember thinking that marketing was primarily about visibility. So how to get the most eyes on a product. And as I moved throughout this program, my perspective shifted, and I stopped asking, how do we sell more? But I started asking, how do we sell better? And my journey through this master has been a process of deconstruction. I like to say it this way because I came in with some set of tools, and the modules, especially on the consumer behavior and ethics, forced me to rethink the why behind my work. And the other thing that made this program so special, and the thing that I truly appreciated, is the practicality of the assessments. In at least that's my experience, but in previous academic like bachelor or high school, I often felt like I was writing for a grade. You know what I mean? Like you just think to get a good grade. But here it felt different because every assignment felt like a practical work, and I could see myself as a marketer. So yeah, I think it's really important for us to just know how to do it in practice. And it, of course, pushed me out of my comfort zone and forced me to stop thinking like a student. And this hands-on approach shifted my mindset. It taught me how to bring the gap between knowing a concept and executing a strategy. I think we all know the situation when you know the theory by heart, you can write the perfect definition, but then you sit at the exam or you talk to someone and they ask you to put this idea or this concept in some practical context, and you don't know what to do with it because you know the theory, but you don't know how to use it. You don't really understand what's the concept about, but you just know how to write the definition. And now when I'm working, I see that this is really important because no one wants a definition from you. They want you to know what you're talking about. So of course, the program here was intensive, but it was also very transformative. And can you see me? Can you see me right now?
Yes,
Yes,
we can.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I thought that something like the connection. Okay. So as I moved from seeing the marketing as a tool for selling, and now I see it as a tool for change. And I realized that the most rewarding part of this master program wasn't just getting the grades or the diploma. It was seeing this different perspective on marketing and finding my purpose and how I want to use it. And that purpose is what drove my applied research project. The study where I was investigating the intersection between sustainability and influencer marketing in my home market, Poland. And I wanted to see if the digital tools that we are using every day could actually be a force for environmental good, and or if they were just fueling the fast fashion fire. And my project, The Power of Influence, Sarah, you said it before, so I'm not gonna repeat this once again. But my project was exploring how can we move past the green gap and use influencer marketing to drive genuine, eco-conscious consumer behavior. And I want to start with some context. I will not go into details, but just briefly so you know what we are talking about. We now live in a time when fashion is no longer just about style. It is also about values, and especially younger generations, they are demanding ethical practices, environmental responsibility, and authenticity from the brands they buy from. And to understand the why of my project, I think it is important for us to look at the numbers and figures and the broader environmental issue that sustainable fashion seeks to address, and that is the impact of fast fashion. As you can see on the slide, the fashion industry is one of the most polluting industries in the world. It is responsible for around 10% of global greenhouse gas emission, which is more than international flights and maritime shipping combined. So this is a lot, and producing just single cotton t-shirt requires 2,700 liters of water. And that's how much a person drinks roughly in 2.5 years. And a single pair of jeans requires 10,000 liters of water. So I think you can see now that this is an enormous environmental cost for everyday items. And I think you will agree that usually we don't have just one single pair of jeans. So when we talk about sustainable fashion, we are not talking about just being trendy, but we are talking about finding a real solution to a very real crisis. And here on the slide, you can also see the picture. And industry every year produces around 100 billion garments. Many of them are unworn and they are just ending up in the landfills. And I don't know if you are aware, but during the COVID-19 pandemic, there was this strict policy for brands that when you order clothes online, and there was no other option during the pandemic, and the size is not good or you just want to return it. So when you return the clothes, the shop has to just throw them away because they had a contact with the other person. So every item that we ordered and then returned back was just thrown away. Here, I think I won't be saying much about my research question, but I would like to highlight for me a key methodological aspect of my project, and that was the use of sub-questions. Because as you can see, my main research question is quite comprehensive and complex. And when you have such a multi-layered topic, it is very easy to feel overwhelmed and lose focus during the research process. So by breaking the main question down into specific sub-questions, they help to structure your entire work, and they act like a strategic roadmap. So they guided me on exactly what to look for in academic articles and helped me filter out which information I really do need and which I can just ignore, let's say. And instead of getting lost in the literature, I knew exactly what information I needed to get to build logical and persuasive argument. And this approach helped me to stay organized during this intensive writing phase, and also ensured that my findings that I will present you today are directly aligned with my initial objects. So that's my advice for you. Even if you don't want to use them in your final project, you can also just write them on some piece of paper and use them as your strategic roadmap, because I really think it's helpful. And the other thing is to really choose the topic you like and you want to investigate, because you will spend quite some time writing this final project, and you will read plenty of scientific articles and journals. And I know we sometimes think that, oh, okay, they expect me to write this thesis or this final project, so I will choose whatever. But trust me, it is important, and it will help you to struggle a little bit less when you have a topic that you really want to investigate further. And now the definition of sustainability, probably most of you know what it is, but according to the World Commission of Environment and Development, sustainability is defined as the development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. And the sustainable fashion concept emphasizes eco-friendly business models, ethical production, and transparency. And as I mentioned before, consumers are increasingly demanding greater responsibility and ethical sourcing from the brands. I can see now that Polish brands are trying to be more transparent, and they openly communicate sourcing and production methods, but not always. And now I will briefly walk you through the key findings from existing literature that shaped my research. First, I focused on the global perspective, and then specifically on the Polish context. So several studies have shown that consumers are increasingly conscious of sustainability. They are actively trying to reduce fast fashion consumption, pay more attention to materials, and think more critically about what they buy. But their intentions don't always translate into sustainable purchases. And the key barriers are lack of knowledge, high prices, and accessibility. And also the other studies found that personal values, social norms, and peer influence can strongly predict sustainable behaviors. So you can see that there is a tension between intention and practice, and this is called the attitude behavior gap, and this is a recurring theme in the literature. And now when we look specifically at the Polish context, the research is still relatively limited. But studies, for example, by Popowska and Sienkiewicz, and a report by Vogue and BCG, show that consumers are increasingly concerned about sustainability. And in fact, about 75% say sustainability is important in their purchasing decisions, and they care about it, but they don't know exactly what sustainability means in practice and how to identify sustainable products. And this shows there's a strong need, at least in Poland, for education and clearer messaging from the brands, so that people know what sustainable products are in fashion. And as we shift from these environmental concerns to the modern consumer landscape, it is impossible to ignore the impact of social media and now also the artificial intelligence. The technological revolution, especially the rise of platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, has changed the way we communicate, the way we shop, the way we interact with brands. And research I studied shows that influencers help to educate, to build trust, and promote sustainable lifestyles, but their expertise didn't always affect the behavior, but the trust and authenticity did. So we can say that influencers who seem more relatable and genuine, they tend to have the bigger impact on the consumer or the follower in that case. So here you have a small summary that the key attributes for trust, trustworthiness and transparency. Expertise, not always, but it is also important. And influencer impact to build trust, influence preferences, and motivate purchases. And it can be good and bad. And this exactly depends on the way how we use marketing, because we can use it in a way to even more encourage the overconsumption, but we can also use it in a way to educate people and show them the sustainable values. So it all depends how we want to use it and what we want to change or not. The sad thing is that despite increasing consumer interest in sustainability in Poland, there is still significant gap. And while we know that they are more and more interested, there is very little research that explores how influencer marketing can actually support this shift. And this is exactly the gap that my study aimed to address. So now that we've explored the landscape, maybe we can take also the closer look at the research I conducted to better understand how these trends are playing out in Poland. My project used a mixed methods approach, combining both quantitative and qualitative techniques to get a fuller picture. And the core of the study was an online survey conducted with 128 Polish consumers, mostly aged between 18 and 35. And in addition to primary data, I also reviewed scientific journals, case studies, and industry reports. And my research followed to design strategies and exploratory design and descriptive design. And combining those two approaches allowed me to connect the data I achieved to actionable insights for sustainable fashion brands. And I really wanted to get something that you can present to them besides the figures. So now probably the most interesting part, what did the research reveal? On the surface, Polish consumers seem very supportive of sustainability, but when we dig deeper, it turns out that the familiarity with the concept varies significantly. Only 14.1% of respondents describe themselves as very familiar with sustainable fashion. So this again highlights a clear gap in awareness and education. The motivations were clear, mostly supporting the environmental protection, material, long-lasting and high quality of the materials used, and supporting local and ethical brands. So I'm very happy about that. And now when it comes to the influencer marketing, the results were a bit surprising. Despite the group's high social media usage, influencer endorsements had relatively low direct impact on actual purchasing decisions in this sample. Instead, consumers were more influenced by authenticity, transparency, and their alignment with personal values. So influencers can be helpful, but just influencers on their own are not enough, and consumers need to feel aligned with the brand's message and communicated, because otherwise influencers are not a very good source of information for them. This one is important because the several significant barriers are still preventing consumers from acting on these values, and this is also what the previous research found, so that high prices were the most cited barrier, almost 31%, and this was followed by difficulty in identifying which brands are actually sustainable at 22.2%, and then limited product availability mentioned by around 17% of respondents. And also my survey revealed some stark differences in awareness and engagement with sustainable fashion between men and women. Only one male respondent was very familiar with sustainable concept, but just one of them reported that they frequently buy from sustainable brands, and 21 admitted uncertainty which brands are eco-friendly and what the sustainable fashion means. So definitely women lead the way. 3 of them said that they buy sustainable fashion very often, and 16 claimed to do so frequently. However, 27 of them expressed uncertainty about brand sustainability, which suggested again that definitely more education about this topic is needed. And based on the findings, there are a few clear implications for sustainable fashion brands, especially in the Polish market. First, brands must prioritize transparency. Consumers want to know where their clothes come from. So brands should communicate the sourcing, the production process, and sustainability certifications. So there's so they don't have to wonder which brands are actually eco-friendly. And second, education. This is the key. Many consumers are interested in sustainable fashion, but lack of clear knowledge is just stopping them. And third, the authenticity matters, and rather than making a generic influencer campaigns, I think brands should focus on genuine story-driven content, maybe work with some micro-influencers that will help them to build the community engagement, because the trust and the fact that you can align your personal values is definitely more important than just a big influencer campaign. And now I will also talk about this really shortly. These are some recommendations and future outlook. So focus on the transparency, clear pricing, production, material disclosures, educate and engage. Use social media for behind the scenes. Now I'm really happy because there are some programs in the television that educate about sustainability. So it's good that it's mainstream and just people can watch it. Strategic influencers, as I said, authentic, niche, and eco-influencers that really talk about this topic and address barriers like the high prices, because this is definitely something that just prevents people from buying more sustainable options. And the future research could explore trust building in influencer marketing, how we can build a community through qualitative studies, comparative analysis across demographics, and long-term studies on evolving consumer attitudes. And I think this is also important for us to understand the influencer's perception of their role, because this can also help to develop strategies that will bring this trust and community engagement. And now, last but not least, my transition from academic landscape to work to agency, because after completing my master's, I secured an internship at a marketing and PR agency. And this was a really important moment for me, because for the first time, I had the opportunity to see how the industry looks behind the scenes. And in Polish, we have this saying that można zobaczyć coś od kuchni. So you can see this word like the agency kitchen, you know, like behind the scenes. And this was very eye-opening for me. And I got lucky because I wasn't just focused on one niche, but I had this privilege of working with an incredibly diverse portfolio of clients. I navigated sectors ranging from real estate and property development to cutting edge IT companies and even large scale energy companies. So the diversity was really helpful for me to adapt. And it taught me that while the core principles of marketing remain the same, the language, the stakes, the consumer psychology change drastically from one industry to another. And this experience helped me to get better in client management and crafting my strategic planning, because I learned that strategy is not just a document, it is a living map of the market. And I began to understand how crucial it is to stay ahead of your competitors. And I think in our industry, being up to date, it isn't just a bonus, it is like a survival requirement, especially now when the landscape and the marketing field is changing so quickly. So for me, it was also important to balance my strategic rigor and creative agility, because now trends change in a dizzying pace, and the rapid development of artificial intelligence is fundamentally reshaping how we create and consume content. And in this AI-driven landscape, the barrier to entry for content is lower, which means that the market is more crowded than ever. And my biggest daily challenge was finding to, and it is still is, finding ways to differentiate a brand. So how do we maintain consumer interest when their attention is pulled in 1,000 different directions? And I've realized that to stand out today, you have to think 2 steps ahead of the algorithm, and you have to be more human, more creative, and more authentic than the automated competition. Because AI is really helpful when it comes to maybe more boring tasks like data and analysis. But then when you want to communicate and when you want to really get your audience engaged, you have to be transparent, you have to be authentic, and you have to find something that is relevant for them, so that they will stay with your company or they will choose your brand. So I think that now it is, you can easily also check whether the text is made by AI or whether it is made by a human being. And I think now it is really important to just sit and think about what you want to say, what is your purpose, or what do you want to change, and then just build on that step by step, so that people know that what you are saying is real and it's yours. And I think that's all. So thank you. And if you have any questions, then just ask me off, or if you want to know something more.
Okay, so thank you, Julia. Thank you for this insightful presentation. So I will open now the questions. And, Vanda, if you want to open your camera and sound, you can also post your question directly to Julia.
Hi, thank you for your project and to share your idea. Well, I write something in English. So what I think it's marketeers promote the sales. So I'm still curious about your title of your work, and I don't know if the producers think about sustainable in true. If marketeers should have a better task to promote the sales. What I mean, it's that responsibility. It's from designers and marketeers, or should be from people who produce that things.
Yeah, of course. Like, if we have big corporations like, I don't know, Zara or H&M, then I don't think we will ever be able to change their approach to more sustainable. But if we have small companies, small local brands, like for example in Polish, we have a lot of them, then it's definitely the producer's part to just take care of the sustainable process, and then marketeers have easier task to just promote the process and create a content strategy for the brand. That's why I think it is so important to be transparent, because in Poland, for example, we have this one company that had great marketing campaign showing the manufacturers, showing the people that work there, showing every detail. And this also explains why the price is higher. So
Yes.
then the consumers are like, okay, but we know the whole process. We know they really care about that. And we know that the materials are long lasting and very high quality. And they are more eager to buy those products. So yeah, the role of marketer, I think, is to create a good campaign and a good strategy. But if the company doesn't care about sustainability, we can just, you know, be a wizard who changes this whole narrative. So yeah.
Yes, I agree with you. I think it's sometimes a little frustrated fight with some companies, and well.
Yeah, that's true. And also, even a few days ago, there was some discussion with Polish influencers, because some people accused them of feeling this overconsumption spiral, and some of them who just take every possible contract, and they just agree to promote any company, even like Temu or some Chinese companies. They were like, yeah, but we have to earn money, and this was nothing with sustainability. And the influencers who really care and promote local brands and Polish brands, they had a really nice argument, and they also showed the whole process and how long it takes. Yeah, and I think it also depends on the influencer, and if the influencer really wants to work with the companies that are sustainable, then also as marketeers we have a little bit easier job to just just promote them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So anyone else has any question for Julia? Okay, so if not, I will make one or two questions. Okay. First question, Julia. So if a Polish sustainable brand came to your agency today with a limited budget, what would be the single most important finding from your research that they should implement first?
I feel like I'm saying this like all over again, but transparency. I really can see it now, how the companies work, and when they decide to prioritize transparency, this changes their whole narrative and how people approach them. But in my study, I found that Polish consumers are highly skeptical, and in general, we Polish people are highly skeptical to a lot of different things. So when there are just generic green claims, they don't feel motivated enough, or they don't believe them enough to just buy from this kind of brand. So I think that brands, instead of giving a massive budget for a famous influencer to look premium, they should focus more and maybe use this budget to invest in educational content, to just show the factory, as I said in this example of one company in Poland, explain why they choose the specific linen over polyester, and just be honest about every challenges they approach, because the other company, they created this whole video about every step they need to take, and the cost of different steps. And then the comments are like, wow, I didn't know that producing things in Poland is so expensive, and I thought you just have high prices because you want to be a premium brand. And then when they educated consumers and they tried to explain to them, they were definitely more interested in buying those products. So transparency and education, and then I think the budget that is spent on transparency and education will be more effective than on just some influencer that now is very famous on Instagram or TikTok.
Okay.
There even it's like the because marketing, of course, has different branches, and there is even one that is focusing on the alignment between influencer and the brand. So they study the brand, and they when the company asks wants to make some campaign, they ask them which influencer is good for them. And it really, like I was surprised by it, but the effect and how consumers or in general we as people perceive the brand, it really sometimes depends on the influencer they choose to work with.
Yeah. So you were talking about transparency, authenticity, but now that we are all moving to AI, how do we keep it authentic and honest and transparent?
Yeah, it's really scary sometimes, because now we are no longer able to differentiate what is real and what is made by AI. So it is true that it is getting more difficult, and you have a lot of different programs to create pictures, to create models or avatars. And for example, AI can create this perfect virtual influencers who never wear the same thing twice, and every day they have the different outfit, and this is exactly the opposite of sustainable fashion. But of course, it makes money if people buy more from these brands. And I think we just need to be careful, and now it is more important than ever before to think critically and to stop before when you see something. Just stop for a second and think about it, and just don't believe in everything you see. And while I think that AI is great for stuff like logistics and data, that with content, the human part of it is definitely more important. So I think that critical thinking and checking the information now, it's very important.
Definitely. I think it is a general issue in different areas. So I'm also curious, why did your survey was applied to users between 18 and 35? Was it a strategic decision for you? Why did you exclude the other?
I wanted to have people that are over 18, because I figured that they, in the context of law, they are adults, so they can, let's say, decide where they want to spend money, and they can decide what they want to wear. So I wanted them to be like 18, because I thought that maybe then this will be more realistic, and that they have this decision, and not like their parents are buying the stuff for them. So they are not even interested in sustainability, like when you're 12 or something. And the 35, I don't even remember exactly why I chose this one, but I think it was also based on some studies I read, that people like millennials and people in this particular age bracket are interested in sustainability.
Okay, so I was curious to know what other customers, older like me, would think about the sustainability, especially when you already have kids. Maybe you start thinking on sustainability and the future in a different way. So it would be interesting to compare, I think, perspectives and behaviors in these different groups. So yeah, Vanda, go ahead.
The information that you take, it's important to see the level of the education in our times, because I think the young people use a lot of TikTok and follow that people, and we have education environment in schools, but what happened, they forgot everything when saw these videos and these things, and it's scary, because the parents need to say no. I think the role of the parents are very important, more than schools, because in schools they share that videos and that fashion, and by today and by tomorrow and buy. So if the products were very cheap, what happened, that thing, that trash do you that you show in your work?
Yeah, that's true that and I can see that people, especially at high school, the young girls, that for them it is more important to just be up to date and be trendy, so they don't care if they will just throw it away month later or something like that.
Yeah. Thank you, Julia.
Thank you.
So Julia, now that we are nearly at the end of the session, a final question now, not focused on your research, but on your overall experience in the master and the skills that you gain on the different assignments. How were they transferred, and how do you use them in your current agency work? If you can just give us an idea.
Yes, I think that I would say that the most valuable skill was audience segmentation and just persona building. And at first it might seem that it's very easy, right? But now when I have different clients, and I see that the first thing I have to do is to apply what I learned in my master's, so the audience segmentation, and I can't just look who the customer is, but I have to find the answer to why they buy. So asking the why question and just building this persona. I think you have it in strategic marketing module, or I think so, that it's there, and you have to build like three personas that could possibly be a buyer or that you will work with when you create this strategic marketing project. And you should really focus on that, because you will need that a lot in your future work. And also, I know it's sometimes scary when you change the landscape and you are no longer at a university, but it's normal and it's okay that we don't know everything and that we make mistakes. So just don't be afraid to show if you have any idea, or if you have some strategy, but you're just a little bit scared to show them. It is really important to do this, because even if they tell you some feedback, then you can just adjust and step by step learn how to make a good strategy. And otherwise, if you won't try, then you don't even know if this is a good idea.
Yeah, that's true. Practice leads to perfection, right? So you need to error many times so you get perfect at the end.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anyone else has any question. All right. So if not, I will like to thank you, Julia, once again for sharing your experience and insights today. I would also like to thank all the participants. We hope this session has been meaningful and has given you valuable perspectives on the role of research, sustainability, authenticity in modern marketing. And stay tuned to the next masterclass next month. We will announce it shortly. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
A nice rest of the day.
Thank you. You too. Bye.